All right. So I have it open if you guys want me to read it, or if someone else has it open.
Go ahead.
Okay. So this one is about compliance with laws and regulations. It says, program evaluation in the TR department had become a time-consuming, very involved process which did not lead to program change or innovation. As a recreation therapist involved in the process, I expressed my concerns to the TR manager. I felt that program evaluation was important, but the process was cumbersome, time-consuming, and not seen as yielding any value for the practitioners or the customers served. I had heard a number of complaints from other recreation therapists regarding this process as well. So what is the behavior?
So both this TRS and the other ones are less than willing to do the program evaluation because they feel like it's not effective.
Yeah.
So it's just not getting done. Well, sounds like it is getting done, but they're just not like it.
Yeah, they don't want to do it, and but
Well, it sounds like too that not really, I guess, caring about the customers or the patients really, as far as their progress.
Right.
well, it sounds like they do care about them, but they feel like the program evaluation isn't helping in any way.
It's not helping to make any improvements or changes. They think
Right. It's like it's too much of a hassle to really focus on what's important, is what it sounds like to me.
yeah.
I would agree with that actually, yeah.
All right. So determine professional relevance. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory because it has to do with the agency and the programs, and you're the one that's kind of doing this evaluation, and so your professional role is directly involved.
Yeah, and it's an important part of the process.
Right.
So it's all based around your profession.
Is it okay? Okay.
Anything else on that?
Yeah. All right. Do we want to move on to differentiate personal and/or professional values and ideals?
So for personal, I feel like this TRS, well, I don't know. It kind of sounds like this TRS may want to make the evaluation more meaningful because it says that they've complained that it's not like being done effectively.
Right.
And so I think personally, this person wants it to be effective, and professionally it should be effective, but according to like all the other people that are working there, it's just not important. So that interferes with their personal and professional values.
Yeah. And personally, she might just not want to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true. Yeah, if no one else wants to do it, then it's probably difficult to want to do it yourself and like actually make it meaningful
Mm-hmm.
if you know nothing's going to be done.
Yeah.
Anything else on that?
I think maybe that they might feel like they're in a routine. So if it's, especially concerning that's a program evaluation, maybe they're just not changing the programs enough, or like they think that it might be needing to change, but they're too lazy to do anything about it because it's been effective in the past. But for maybe the current patients and then the future patients, it should be always kind of evolving to be fit around their needs, but it sounds like they're not really, maybe that could be a possibility, is that they're not really wanting to change it as far as that. And so that's why the program evaluation wasn't being addressed properly. I don't know, that's just an idea, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just like reading over it again.
Yeah, so am I.
Mm-hmm.
I've read it like 5 times.
Okay. I was thinking it said something like the customers were complaining, but that was different.
No, it just says that, I mean, there's no value for the customers served. And so,
Mhm.
I mean, that just goes along with what everybody else has said already, that, personally and professionally, they don't feel like it's being effective. And so that could be a reason why they feel like it's becoming such a hassle, is because they feel like they're doing all this work, but nothing's changing. And so what's the point of doing it if it's not effective?
Mhm. And if it's just a lot of tedious paperwork that seems like it has no purpose.
Yeah. And then I feel like people will slack off, and that can go into the next thing, the legal duties. Do the people feel like it's not going to be effective or it's not going to make anything change or happen? And they're probably not going to put a lot of effort into writing anything for their evaluation, and that could come up with legal issues as well.
I even wonder if they're not applying the API process properly, like they're not using assessment as far as applying it to each individual program and each individual client. I just feel like, I mean, if it was done properly, then it would change, and then the program evaluation would be a positive thing. But it sounds like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
just
Well, I
seems like
think
the whole process is not done properly, is if it's not, effective for the customers or the patients.
like if the API process is like made into a big deal and like it's something that needs to be done, then I feel like people would take the evaluation part a lot more seriously. Like if the whole process itself was seen as an important thing. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
So maybe they've just gotten lax about it, like Kelly was saying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anything else on legal duties?
Just that if they don't do it or they do it lax, then that could become an issue later because documentation is so important. And if something goes wrong, like at least you have the documentation that says, yeah, I suggested that we should have made this change, but that's past my point. So my guilty conscience is clear, or like not even just guilty conscience, but like legally I'm not responsible for what has happened.
Right.
So
I think the same could be said, like, because they're not really making any changes to programs at all. And so if they're doing like modalities or interventions that aren't effective, then later on people could come back and say, this never worked. And then more people could say, it didn't work for me either. Why didn't you fix this if you knew people weren't benefiting from it?
yeah.
So kind of the same thing.
Well, that's even being negligent. I mean, it's kind of like, here, like I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything, like, I don't know, like just completely being negligent of not really caring. And so that's, I mean, definitely, I mean, like what Alex was saying, if something goes wrong, then they're completely liable as far as the treatment not being effective for them, especially where like people are paying for their services. And I just know that, like I feel like Brother Barney in one of his classes, he expressed this like pretty easily. I mean, unless there is, documentation saying what a program, like how effective it is, then there's no proof to show to the parents or to like the family members of the client about like what is going on. Like, I mean, if you could say that you charged $200 to take, the client to a movie, and you could have all these different purposes for that. I mean, and essentially that's maybe what the client needs, but if there's no way to prove that as far as like on paper, like the interventions, the modalities that are used, then it's going to look like you just, got paid $200 to take them to a movie. So
It's true.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that you bring up the point about like the paying, because I know that like Medicare and Medicaid, they have all of their laws and regulations. And so if they're not following those, and it doesn't say in this case whether or not they are, but, granted, if they're not changing the programs to fit the guidelines of Medicare and Medicaid, then they can come back, they can deny everything, and they won't pay anything, and it can cause a big mess.
Mm-hmm. And even beyond just Medicare and Medicaid, there's government funding for almost any program that we would run.
Yeah, any insurance policy that would cover people to have any kind of therapy.
Yeah.
If there's no documentation saying the treatments are being effective, then they're not going to pay for clients to be there. And then eventually that could get the facility shut down. Worst case first.
Mhm.
Exactly.
All right. So what about ethical obligations?
I think that goes kind of hand in hand with the legal ones in this case. Just ethically, you are responsible to make sure that their treatment is effective and to be able to prove it.
Mm-hmm. And I think just knowing that, you know, you are like going along with your values and what you believe in ethics, that you're the one that's in charge of like their treatment and helping them to get better and meet their needs and all of that. So if you're not doing that and it's not being effective and there's nothing happening to change that, then that's on you.
I almost feel I almost wonder if it would be effective to, well, maybe not. I don't know. This is like a way crazy idea, but to even express this to the family members of, you know, the client as far as the problems that are associated, if it became that big of a deal, because then they would be able to go towards, you know, a higher position to be able to complain towards them. And it's not necessarily something that the manager is just shutting down because they're refusing to listen to the other TRSs, but they're hearing it from other sources as well. And especially where the family members can be able to see what progress they're making because they, you know, have lived with them their whole life. I mean, whether or not that would be, I mean, that's kind of out there and crazy, and that would be like probably the last resort, but it could be effective as far as making a change, especially where it comes to the concerns of the patients.
That's true. Family is a huge part.
It doesn't, yeah. The little blurb, whether or not the TR manager was resilient or what they responded to. It just said that they told them. So I wonder if like the TR manager is just like, oh, well, too bad. Or if it was just like, yeah, I told the TR manager like yesterday and nothing's happened yet.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't say a time frame or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Because I feel like in this kind of situation, it's a paperwork, it's a business side of things. So I feel like I would go to like upper management above the TR manager before I would go to parents and family members.
I think that's a great idea.
But yeah, like you were saying, like family members as a last resort kind of thing.
Yeah, and even family members, like, I don't know if I would necessarily feel comfortable going to a family member right away and saying, hey, this is what my facility is not doing, because then it's just throwing your facility under the bus when you really should try and cover it up the best you can until it's solved.
Yeah.
I agree.
So what is our action?
I think, yeah, once again, with the TR manager, working with them to probably create a new evaluation form or method so that it's a little more effective is probably the best thing.
And even like at a few places that I have worked, we would have like weekly meetings and just kind of go over everything and go over the importance of little things like different types of documentation and evaluation so that we know how to make our program better. And so I think even just having like little mini staff meetings every once in a while to emphasize the importance of these evaluations, and then maybe by doing that they'll become more effective. Just drill it into people's minds that it's not just paperwork. Like, these are people's lives that we're trying to improve, and we're trying to improve our ways so that we can improve their lives. And we can only improve ourselves if we look back at what we have done and like what's not good and what is good, what can stay, what can't.
Yeah.
I think as well, as far as, you know, I guess changing something like immediately within the manager, even presenting ideas to them. So like going to them, like for example, and saying, hey, like I think we could have group meetings and training sessions about what evaluations we could use. And then even, like going to them personally, yeah, and just coming up with ideas. I think that would be like probably maybe an initial step that could happen right after if things weren't being done after already telling them for after, I don't know, a couple of weeks or something.
Mhm.
I feel like just making it more important, I don't know, somehow.
Yeah.
So overall, go to the TR manager, tell them that a meeting could be beneficial. The TR manager doesn't listen, maybe go to higher supervision, or can't talk, higher up
Management.
personnel, and then if need be, even make a whole new evaluation system so that
Mhm.
it becomes more effective.
Yeah. And I think working with all of the TRs and the manager and everyone to make an effective evaluation that everyone can agree on and that covers everything
Yeah.
is probably important.
Sounds good to me.
Cool.
Anything else?
Think
No.
we're good.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, see ya.
Night. Bye.